it's really not about trying to find these people who understand you or surround yourself with people more and more like you. It's about this inner journey. And when we can get to that place within our own being of never finding alone, even if we're stranded on an island, then we create that magnetic field around ourselves that draws the people to us who we most need at each chapter of life. Rather than, we're just gonna go find people, put ourselves in these environments where other people are just like us, and it might be boring. I had that experience. Hi, Petia. She loves her butt scratches, but I don't want to get kicked right now. If you have a little tip over there. They have really been following me the past few days. Every time I come make these videos. Here's Rafi. Rafi would be one of the Reiki horses that I would have with me in sessions when I have the retreats here, which I'm so excited about. I was talking to my aunt who's visiting right now about the retreats and what we're going to build here on this farm in Italy. If you don't know, I live on a farm in Italy in my van. I was traveling by van and then I landed in this place that really feels like home now with the community that I love. And so we're going to have, in a year or so, I would like to build these retreats here. And that's what I was telling my aunt. She's like, when do you think it would actually happen? I was like, I feel like, right now we can start the dreaming process, and then we are starting to make the what would it be called? Curriculum, I guess, of the retreats and getting ideas. And sorry if that tractor is loud, but there's so much that you can do with horses and healing. And so you can do Reiki and have the horses present, and I've seen videos of this now where they're like assisting in that process of the energy healing, which is incredible. There's also family constellations that we can offer with the horses, and if you don't know about family constellations, it just keeps showing up for me more and more and more in my journey, and I feel like it's something that I'm being called to and would love to hold space for people to come experience that, but like a million times better with horses doing it instead of just people, because I think animals are such a wonderful way to heal. Arlo was a huge part of my health journey. Arlo's my dog. If you don't know, I travel all over with him. But anyway, the topic of this video is learning to not feel so alone on your spiritual journey. I love this so much because Anya here, I talked about this a little bit recently, but one of my spirit guides, and ties in so perfectly with the message, what I identified as her name is Anya. And oftentimes we name our own guides because they don't have names, but we are able to feel their energy and feel, what we would call them here on earth if they were here. And so Anya is one of them, and I've been working with her for about a year in my meditations. And then when I came to this farm, this pretty girl is named Anya, and I love her a lot. And so what I've found in this journey of doing the inner work, which can be very lonely, like my spiritual awakening and my health journey started 10 years ago when I really got sick after a car accident. And that just was a huge catalyst, and I feel it was a soul contract to get me into this timeline where I am now. And it was so divinely perfect. But at the time, it was so difficult. I felt so alone. I felt like I didn't have the answers that I needed in order to be okay. But then as I went on this journey more and more and more and just surrendered and was like, okay, something, can you just guide me there? I started to get familiar that I'm not alone. That even in, the bedridden days when I couldn't get out of bed, when I had no physical energy, when I was covered in acne, covered in rashes, covered in like so much pain and bloating and like just brain fog. Like I couldn't even remember my own friends' names. I was losing my keys and I was putting them in the fridge. Like I was so ill and lost within my own physical body and trying so hard to just be in the world. Woohoo! Party! I then started to go inwards because I was forced into it. Oftentimes people on these spiritual journeys will have that catalyst where you're forced into your spiritual journey or awakening, whatever you want to call it. And then other times humans, spiritual beings having a human experience, they come in with the knowing of what they're interested in and that confidence to go down that without having to go down that, without the need to go down that. And so we all have different experiences here on earth of finding that for ourselves. But in mine, I started going inwards, and mindful meditation was the first step for me. It was getting really clear and centered, because that conversation inwards with your divine team can be tricky when your mind is all over the place, when your nervous system is dysregulated, because you'll try to go in, and because it's so unfamiliar and just like new, and there's so much conditioning around how this isn't real, your mind will be like, nah, like we got to think about the to-do list. No, you got to think about how you shouldn't be eating gluten. And no, you had too much sugar yesterday. Like, that's what my brain would tell me, at least. And so when you practice your mindful meditation first, and then also find ways to regulate your nervous system first, it's much easier to go inwards and find that connection with your divine team. And through finding your connection with the divine team, you start to feel like you realize that you're never alone, that you have these energies that have come to earth with you on the other side in agreement to support you for your entire life, that at any given moment they are there to support you and give you answers and signs, and they can step in if you give them permission. And so it's just up to you. It's up to you to start to develop that relationship and that language with them, so that you can have that guidance for the rest of your life. And thank God we're still recording. Rafi, you're being so sweet. Oh, I love you, buddy. And so what I would suggest, if you are in the spiritual journey and you're like, I feel so alone in it, is to first wrap your mind, your being, your knowingness around this concept that you have a divine team there for you. We have our earth angels, who really their job is to keep you on earth, at the perfect amount of time that you're meant to be here. And when we start to feel into that, and if it's in resonance, I think we can release so much fear, because one of the biggest fears that we have about life is this fear of not having a life anymore, of dying, and fear of running out of time, and fear of blah blah blah. But if you realize you have earth angels who are here to keep you here, then it's like, okay, I can let go and just live my life, and whenever it's meant to happen, it will happen. And it's not like it's the end, it's really just going back to the beginning. And so when I look back at my car accident 10 years ago, I can see how I had an earth angel there with me. It was a miracle that I was still alive because based off of how I flew off that hill, it didn't make any sense for the car to stop the place that it did stop. Like, this little tiny tree trunk stopped my car from flying off this hill. And I remember I was not like in my spiritual practice at all at that time, but looking at that, and I was like, wow, there's still a reason for me to be here on earth. And I think it might have something to do with horses. But in that, I was like, okay, something is looking out for me. And then the past year, really, I've developed more and more of a language with them. And what does that mean? In my program, 21 Days to Know Your Divine Guidance, we talk about different ways to communicate with your angels and guides. And some of us will receive this information through like a knowingness, through sight within our third eye, through a feeling, through hearing, through like just different ways that we can have this communication with them. I have people who I work with who will just ask for the sign, and then they'll receive it within the physical. Don't you dare. Within the physical perceived reality. And so it's that inner asking and then witnessing it out on the, within the real world. And so we all have different ways that we can communicate with them. And then a little step further, once we have that communication, I'm sorry, you have so many flies. Once we have that communication with them and we start to feel into how we are never alone and how we always have support and guidance and love around us, then that's our being. That's what our field is at. It's a knowingness. It's not questioning it. It's not hoping for it. It's not putting it outside of ourselves. It's a knowing that we are always supported and always guided. And like, I feel so supported and guided right now with Rafi. And then, because that's our being and our point of attraction, we start attracting people into our perceived reality and situations and things that are in alignment with that love that our angels and guides and our divine team offer to us, because that's already our knowingness. We're not in that state of where are the people? Where are the like-minded people? Where's the love? Where's the community? When I was thinking like that before, I just felt so lonely because I had some friendships in my life that just felt very shallow, and like there wasn't a lot to them. It was really just about like being social and, you know, not being alone, but it wasn't about like deep connection and going there and having like a real relationship where, you know, I think with one friend where I really needed them and I called them because I was in an emergency, and they hung up on me because they were busy watching Netflix, and I was like stuck in a snowstorm with no jacket or vehicle. I was like, wow, I really want to surround myself with people who are going to support me and see me and be there for me unconditionally. But to get there, we have to know that we already are that. We already are that unconditional love. We already have it available to us. We were born with it. And when we turn the dial to being in alignment with it, then we turn the dial to knowing and attracting that into our reality, into our relationships. And another step to go with that is that we have to make space. And oftentimes it'll happen naturally, and that space will just, you know, relationships will fall apart, jobs will fall apart, living situations will fall apart. And that will happen as we continue to choose this path of being in alignment with unconditional love, with infinite abundance, with what our soul desires, with what our soul came here to earth to experience. We have to make the space in order to have the life that we truly desire. And some things are not in resonance with that anymore, and that's okay. But if we're trying to hold on to the old, there's no room for the new. We can't have both. You don't truly want both. You're just afraid of what could be. You're afraid of the unfamiliar, of your own potential. Rafi agrees with that one too. Or there's just a lot of flies. And so it's going on this journey of finding that inner guidance and trusting it to be your guiding light, trusting them to be your guiding light. And so in the program, we do that. We do the regulation, and you can even get the 21 days to know or to rewire your mind to support in that if you need further support with regulating your nervous system. And so we regulate our nervous system through things like EFT tapping, through different types of hypnosis and meditations and visualizations of our chosen timeline and bringing in that high vibrational state. And then we're going into mindful meditation, and we're going on that journey in the program of going through your chakras. And so Joe Dispenza talks about this, the Law of One talks about this, how it's so important to have alignment within our energy systems in order to go into our heart space and then all the way up above through our throat, through our third eye, through all the chakras above, because up there is where we're receiving that divine guidance. Let's make sure we're still recording. Thank goodness. I need to back up my phone. I know I've been talking about it for a while now, but it just requires going up to the house and getting good Wi-Fi here. And so when our energy systems, our chakras and I used to think energy systems and chakras were just like some kind of lingo for the spiritual community and whatnot. But then when I read the Law of One, I started to understand them to a different level, how, you know, everything is within and without. So it's like you look at the amount of water on the planet, you look at the amount of water in your body, you look at the amount of water, like you go in and out, like we're all a mirror of ourselves. Like each little thing just keeps going for infinity at different levels and different sizes, perceived sizes. And so it's the same thing with the chakra systems and how, you know, the evolution of planet Earth is going from that third density, which is you have your root, you have your sacral, you have your solar, and the solar is all about like the self-identity, the self. And that's what it was before. It was like survival and self. And now we're moving into this more heart space energy where we're remembering the truth of who we are. All your answers are within your heart. Whenever I'm working with you guys in the programs or one-on-one, like we're going to go into our heart space, and that's where we ask for guidance. That's where we have every single thing available to us. And this communication with our divine team happens within our heart. And so when we have the bottom ones in alignment and harmony, then it's easier to be in the heart space, to stay in the heart space, and to receive true guidance from the heart space. And then all the way up, we're going to connect to the divine and bring it down through our heart. And so we have it rooted down into the center of the earth, rooted down or up into the divine, and back into our heart, into our center, into the truth, into source, where everything is available to you, where you can have clear communication. And then we invite our divine team there, and we say, what angel or guide is here today for me and has a message that will support me in my human experience of achieving, whatever it is for my highest good, to get to the abundance that I desire, the love that I desire, the health that I desire, the happiness that I desire. And then waiting and receiving that communication in the ways that we were talking about, through hearing, feeling, seeing, knowing, whatever it is, and then trusting that and building on that every single day. It's about consistency and dedication to this process, because once you have this down and you get this language down with your divine team, you don't need anything else. You don't need to read all these self-help books. You don't need to, hire all these things. You don't need to go into these like really expensive programs and retreats. You do them because you love them and you want to go deeper in your journey, or see what other people are teaching, or have that experience, or have that community. But you start to feel that community and that love and that unconditional love, that infinite acceptance, that infinite abundance within your being. And you embody that everywhere you go. That will be your reality. That will be your perceived reality. Joe Dispenza talks about how when we change our field, we change the matter that we perceive. You have the ability to change matter by changing your field. And so it's not a matter of looking outside of yourself and going that way. It's a matter of going within yourself and shifting from this place, and then everything else for you changes. And it becomes a really beautiful experience where you get to live in Italy with horses over your shoulder while you're making videos. That's my reality. That's my chosen reality. And it's all available to you, whatever your chosen reality is. And maybe you don't know. I didn't know that I wanted this, but this is better than I could have ever imagined. And it can be better than you've ever imagined as well, as you go on this journey and you learn to trust yourself more. And when I say yourself more, I mean the self of all, the source energy that we all are, the one infinite consciousness that we all are. Okay. That's the message for today. If you like this message, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new here. If you want to leave a comment and you don't know what to say, you can say hello to Rafi. Don't know where he went, but he was very present in this video. And if you want to sign up for one of the programs, I have 21 days to know your divine guidance, 21 days to rewire your mind. And we talked about those in this video. And then I also have one-on-one availability as well. So I'm gonna go hang out with my aunt. We're gonna do some fencing. Today I went with our legal advisor on the farm, our Italian advisor, to go do some more paperwork. So I'm an official Italian resident, and now I'm just signing up to be in the healthcare system, to have a tax code, to do all those other legality things. And so she's been so helpful, like so helpful. It's so nice to have someone who can speak the language and knows the system and knows the right people and has everything that I could possibly need. Like, I want to just be in the European healthcare system just to have it, especially because after you have it in Italy, then I can apply for it in all of the EU with the EHIC, I believe, which is just healthcare across Europe. And so it's really nice while traveling. You can also have your private insurance as well. So I wanted to share her because she was so helpful today. She came here all the way from wherever she lives, far away, and drove me an hour each way, and we met a bunch of different people for different meetings and got a lot done in this bureaucracy journey here living in Italy. So if you're looking to move to Italy, to buy a property in Italy, she can help you with that. And then after that, she can help you get set up in any way that you need, like with your tax number, your health insurance, whatever. Like, we use her for the farm with all this other stuff with the animals and getting them all registered. And so she's really like your resource for simplifying moving and living in Italy. That's the name of her website too. So I will link that in the description below if you want some help or have some questions about the process of moving here and doing all that stuff. So she's over there actually talking to my aunt right now about my aunt getting her citizenship, because we can have our Italian citizenship. I have an Irish passport. I could have an Italian one if I wanted as well. But my aunt definitely wants it because she doesn't have that Irish part of the family that's on my dad's side. So she can do that for you guys if you would like to. We're gonna go do some horse fencing, feed the horses, and then hopefully chill out. Yesterday, sorry again about all the noise in the background. Yesterday was gnarly. We still are. Yesterday was absolutely gnarly. My aunt had arrived. We just picked her up from the train station. She's visiting Europe, traveling around. She sold her house in California. And as soon as we got to the farm, these horses, including you, Missy, were loose and had broken out and in a field that doesn't belong to us. And so we ran after them, captured them, and I told my aunt, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot our groceries outside my van. Like, can you please go get them? And so she ran up here and put the groceries away, and she didn't know if the donkey, because I said, you know, the donkey could get it. She didn't know if the donkey was going to come into my van. And so she's in my van, like hiding the food, like the stuff that doesn't go in the fridge. She was putting it like in the front seat, like covering things over it. She put it on the bed, but she's like, will the donkey come in the bed? And so that was really, really funny. And then we kind of relaxed for 2 seconds, had some cheese and crackers, and then she had to come help with more fencing because more horses got loose, the same in a different area. So then we did fencing, and then one of our friends here, the e-brake on the car that we have for the farm that we take every time we lose the farm, broke, and so the car started rolling down the hill, and he jumped into the car, which you're not supposed to do, but it was instinct, and he realized the e-brake wasn't working, so he slammed on the brakes, but it went through one of the poles, like one of these large, it was much bigger than this, one of the large, maybe cement, I don't know if cement or some kind of plastic pole, and so the back of the car is completely broken and it shattered, and he went to the hospital. And so my aunt was doing some Reiki on him, and so we were out feeding horses and everything until like 10:30 last night because of all the chaos that had happened, and dogs were loose, and so we're chasing dogs into the forest, and it was just all over the place. But I love my family. I love being around people who can be so centered in the chaos. I think that's why I love being here too, is because there's never a dull moment, but it challenges me so much to remain in my center with all these different curveballs and things that happen every single day. It's always something new, which I love, but it really does give the opportunity to have this inner centeredness, inner dialogue of like, everything's going to be okay. Like, I created this is a reflection of my inner being, of my field, and like, we're all here for a purpose, to learn and to grow and to experience this together. And so it's divinely perfect, and then also letting go and also accepting, and so it's wonderful. It's much better than the perceived reality that I had before, when I was too afraid to take the leap and make the decisions that I wanted that were in alignment with the desires that I had. And, you know, I would just spend years and years and years just sitting behind the computer working my job. I'm like, wow, how did another year go by? And so life can be so rich when you choose to let go of everything that is in your way and choose to have that inner journey and inner communication and make choices from that place with the support that's available to you. And you're never alone. You always have guidance. You always have that side that loves you unconditionally, and that is there for you at any given moment when you turn to it and open the door for them. So with all that being said, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.